history. Hi, good morning. We're on Mystery of History, page 12. We are on the 13 colonies, and we are starting back up with Connecticut. Okay, we just did Maryland, and we did Rhode Island, and we got kind of into a long discussion yesterday, so we're moving on. All right, next to be founded in the New World was Connecticut. It was the Dutch who first settled in Connecticut, but they were absorbed in time by other colonists who followed Thomas Hooker. So we discussed this in volume 3. Thomas Hooker was a Puritan from England. Originally, he settled in Massachusetts near John Winthrop. But the two disagreed on the proper mix of politics and religion, so Thomas Hooker moved away to practice the separation of church and state. In doing so, in 1636, he helped to found Connecticut, which is named from a river called Quinnicutt, which is an American Indian name, Quinnicutt. And if we say that a little quicker, it sounds like Connecticut. All right, so going on to Delaware. As early as 1631, the Dutch again established a small settlement at the site of the present day, I don't know how we say that, Lewes, Delaware. Primarily, it was a trading post, and it was called Zwanendale, which in Dutch means Swan Valley. Tragically, as a result of a dispute within a year, all the settlers of Zwanendale died because of, at the hands of American Indians. 7 years later...
So the American Indians destroyed them?
I think the American Indians did destroy them. It doesn't give us details here. But there must have been some type of conflict that caused them to do that, and it doesn't say exactly what it was. 7 years later, with new hopes and dreams, the first permanent settlement in Delaware was established in 1638 near Wilmington, Delaware. There's a Wilmington in North Carolina, but this is Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington was founded by Peter Minuit, who worked for Sweden at that time. You'll recall that Minuit is the Dutch person who bought New York for $24. Swedish immigrants who followed Minuit brought to America the idea of log cabins. But the Swedes could not hold on to Delaware. Just about every 10 years, Delaware changed hands between the Dutch and the English until the colony became independent in 1701. I wonder why.
Probably because they didn't want it to be continuously thrown back and forth.
No, I'm saying I'm wondering why it changed hands so many times. She doesn't go into it here. Looking at North Carolina. Woo! We like North Carolina because I'm from North Carolina.
And my grandmother's from North Carolina.
And your grandmother's from North Carolina. And your grandfather. And much of your family on my side. All right, looking next at North Carolina, Sir Walter Raleigh tried to colonize it in the late 1500s, but he failed. A remnant group of settlers disappeared from Roanoke. We've been there, an island off the coast of North Carolina, in 1590. They left behind only one clue. I think there were 2 clues. There was the word Croatan, which the settlers carved into a tree, and the other one said there was another carving in the tree. Isn't it just Croa or something? Its meaning remains a great mystery. After Roanoke failed, nobody tried again to settle that area until colonists from Virginia decided to venture south. They did and started North Carolina in 1653. Though the point could be confusing, North Carolina did not officially separate from South Carolina until 1712. Their charter claimed that the settlement was for the propagation of the gospel in the parts of America not yet cultivated and planted. Then came New Jersey. I think it would be interesting to read a little bit more in depth. Yes.
I have something to say about Roanoke. The Croatans, since they said that if the Roanoke colony, before their governor left to get supplies, they said that they would if they had to move somewhere, they would carve the name in there where they were going into a tree. Or if they got destroyed or attacked by Native Americans, then they would just carve a cross into a tree. So when the governor came back and found it all disappeared and saw the word Croatan, he decided, since that was the name of a place farther up, he decided to try to search there, but the waves were too rough, so he couldn't send his ships up. But the colonists actually did survive.
Okay, let's pause on that story. Good, I'm glad. That's great memory. Let's pause. I would be interested to look a little bit more in depth at the colonies. Let's see, where were we? Oh, wait, New Jersey. Another of our colonies was settled by the Dutch in the 1620s. They called it New Netherlands after their homeland. But ownership of the colony was eventually passed to 2 English nobles of the Lords Proprietor. The Lords Proprietor, that's a special group of overseers. They decided in 1664 to offer generous land grants and religious freedom to settlers of North America. These 2 men were Lord John Berkeley. He oversaw the west side of the colony. And then Sir George Carteret. Carteret, so in North Carolina, our family on Papa G's side is from Carteret County, so Sir George Carteret oversaw the east side of this land in New Jersey. I guess they were calling it New Netherlands at this time. Though neither Berkeley nor Carteret ever made it to the colonies themselves, at least 30 settlers sailed over with Carteret's cousin. His name was Philip Carteret, and established Elizabethtown in 1665. Since George Carteret was formerly the governor of the Isle of Jersey, which was a tiny island in the English Channel, the colony was in time united and renamed New Jersey. It was actually South Carolina.
New Jersey!
Yes. That had the very first European settlers. They arrived from Spain as early as 1526. South Carolina had the very first European settlers. How was that? Because all these other ones were from England. England is in Europe. Okay. So we're saying, okay, I see what she's saying. This was as far back as 1526. So she's going back. She's going back in time to 1500. She's saying they came before these other colonies. Their settlement failed, and Charles I of England later obtained the area. In 1663, his son, King Charles II, offered the land to 8 English nobles in return for helping him regain the throne that his father lost. The nobles who made up the Lords Proprietor that I mentioned earlier, they weren't interested in living in the New World themselves, but they were interested in making a profit from whatever the land had to offer to brave settlers who would travel there. So, 150 settlers were recruited by the Lords Proprietor. They landed on the coast in 1670 and named it Charlestown, which became Charleston, South Carolina. That's where Daddy and I went during our honeymoon. Honeymoon. It was named, of course, for the King of England. It was hoped that wine, silk, and olive oil would grow well in the Carolina colony, but rice and indigo proved to grow much better. For economic and political reasons, the colony eventually divided into North Carolina and South Carolina. All right, we're going to stop there and read the rest. We're on page 15, and we are going to stop there today. All right, have a good day. Bye.